Okay, so it's nice to see that I was able to log in on time today. Yesterday, as you know, if you were watching the blog, it took me a half hour to get a live feed. So this is great. I feel good. Just an announcement. I wrote it on the blog too, or I will write it, that tomorrow is a PD day. So believe it or not, we do have staff meetings all day. So I won't be available for classes. So you can take an extra day to work on your homework or catch up on any outstanding homework that you might have, either in math or another subject. I'm going to keep working through. We're kind of working our way through this unit. I'm working through on lesson 5, so I've done all of these. Lesson 4 or lesson 3 was when we were introduced to the graphing calculator technology. Lesson 4 was not so much graphing calculator. We did use it a little bit, but you actually could have done it without. So you needed a calculator for 3. You'll need it for 5 and 6, right? So please use that software that I gave you before we left school. I'm going to finish example 3 and 4, or example 3. There's 2 parts to it, and then I'm going to give work time, and I'm going to open up a Google Meet. So I'm going to log off my live stream and open a Google Meet. And if you go to my blog, you can just click on the link to Google Meet, and then we can see each other. Like, you can see me for sure because I'll have my camera on. And you can enable your camera and your microphone so we can actually talk, and you can ask questions if you would like. Remember, you can always type into the live chat screen when I'm live streaming as well. It just takes me a little longer to answer back because then I have to type back my response. So we learned how to find X and Y intercepts yesterday using the graphing calculator. If the equation's in proper form, and proper form is for linear is y equals ax plus b. So if you have a math equation, this stands for the x-axis. So if you've got an equation, meaning there's an equal sign, you've got 2 polynomials on each side of the equal sign. There's one y and one x with just exponents of 1, right? No higher exponent. Then you know, if it's in this form, that this will be the y-intercept. There's no way to tell what the x-intercept is just by looking at, but the y-intercept we can determine. But even if you didn't recognize that, you can always graph it. Enter this equation into your graphing calculator in the y equals screen. You graph the equation. To find the y-intercept with technology, it's super easy. Once you enter this into y equals, you just press the second trace button, right? You just press the second trace, and you'll get number 1 says value. You press that and you enter x equals 0. Press enter again, it'll give you the y-intercept. Finding x-intercepts was a little harder because they said you have to enter a second equation in, and they use an intersect key. And then it gives you your x-intercept. So let's kind of see what we can remember from yesterday. So it says, draw the graph of y equals 2.5x minus 14, label both intercepts. So I think before I do that, I am going to get a picture of what this looks like on my graph, and then I'll label the intercepts, okay? So once again, I turn my calculator on for the day, and I just clear it because I can't really remember what I just keypad. Okay, so second plus sign, number 7, number 1, I just press an enter, and then I move to number 2, and then I get RAM cleared. So all my old data is cleared. Okay, so I'm going to enter this equation into my calculator. I go to the y equals screen. I don't have to enter the y equals in. That's something I guess I didn't really verbally say before, because the y equals is given to me. The only reason there's y1, y2, y3, all the way up to y7, I can actually graph up to 7 lines on a single picture. So it's y equals 2.5, here's where the x is, right by the stat, minus 14. Okay, so it exactly matches this. Once again, the y equals is already taken care of. I'm going to press graph. Okay. So I can kind of see it, but it says label both intercepts. I can't quite see the y-intercept. So remember what we could adjust the windows, and I'm going to write this in. Adjust the windows, or the window settings. This is your window, right? Looks like a window. Looks like a window with like a crossbar in the middle, but this is your window. If your window isn't big enough, you have to increase your window settings, right? And my window is not big enough because I can't see the y-intercept. I can see the x-intercept, not the y-intercept. Adjust the window settings. Okay, so once again, I'm going to draw a little picture for you. If this is the window of your screen, and every time you open it up, it's going to have like this is the x-axis, right? This is the y-axis. Now, it doesn't say x and y here, but you're supposed to know that the x-axis is the horizontal, your y is the vertical. So this is how your window settings work. Remember, your window settings are x min, x max, y min, y max. So up here, maybe I'll do it in red so it kind of pops for you. At the top of your window is your y max. Okay, maximum is highest. So this is where your highest y value is. This is where your lowest y value is. This is your highest x value, right? The higher numbers of x are on this side. And this is your x min. So you decide, I know that I need to see more of the window on this part. So I need to adjust my y min. I got to make my y min bigger, right? So I'm going to go to the window. So I find y min, it's right here. Right now it's at -10, therefore this is a -10. And I can see if I remember this, this is my y-intercept, right? -14. So I have to make -10 much bigger. Sorry, I keep moving the calculator. I want to show you the negative sign. Remember the negative sign is down here. I want to adjust this. I'm going to clear. And I'm going to put a negative, let's do a -20. Okay. And I'm going to put this, adjust y min to -20 from -10. Okay. Now, when I press graph, that's a little better, right? I can see both intercepts. I didn't need to adjust any of the other windows. There was nothing happening over here. So I didn't need to adjust these two, the x min or the y max. I could see the x-intercept, so I didn't have to adjust anything here. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I can see my graph. I'm going to just quickly draw on the grid provided. I'm just going to kind of draw what I see. Okay, so here's my line. And I'm going to actually label my line. This is the line that's identified by y equals 2.5x minus 14. Okay. Now your calculator will call it y1, right? I'm only going to graph the one equation on my graph, so I don't have to identify it as y1. It's just y equals. All right, let's find the y-intercept. Let's do that first. Remember what we do? It's going to be second trace. Okay, second trace value. And then x equals 0. So second trace, okay, I want to press values. I'm going to press enter. And then x equals 0. Y equals -14. When x equals 0, the y value, whatever y value partners with that, that's my y-intercept. Y-intercept, -14. Okay. Find the x-intercept. That's a little harder, right? So enter into y2. Okay, have to do a couple more steps here. So I go to my y equals screen and I move down to y2. Just use the down arrows. Because I want a y to equal 0, right? For an x-intercept, y equals 0. So enter in y0, and then second trace, number 5. This was number 1. Sorry, number 1 value. I'm going to press number 5, intersect. Okay, so second trace. I want to move all the way down to number 5. I can either use my arrows or just press 5. Now I'm going to get 3 questions. So to answer the first curve, now just make sure it's your Y1 statement, right? First goes with Y1. So press enter. Enter. Second curve. Okay, that's your second statement, right? Y2, enter. And then the third question is guess. And you press enter. Whoops, sorry, I forgot to move my cursor, remember? Whoops. I forgot to move my cursor over to the intercept that I want. Sorry about it. So guess, yes. So the I do another enter. So my X equals 5.6, Y equals 0, right? When Y equals 0, X is 5.6. So this is my answer, right? Okay, so I got my identifiers. Now, what you have to do for the graph is you have to identify these spots on the graph. So I'm just going to put a little slash here, and I'm going to put -14, and I'm going to put a little slash here, and I'm going to put 5.6. Now I'm not doing a proper scale here because actually I'm just identifying one tick on each axis, so it's okay if I don't do scale. If I was going to do more than one tick on each scale, then I'd have to take my ruler out and make sure that every tick that I identified was like 14 units long, and then every tick identified on the x-axis would have to be the same width as a 5.6. Okay, so that's it. So a lot of repetition from yesterday, but repetition is what allows us to become a little more efficient in math, right? So draw the graph. This is what the graph looks like. Label both intercepts. So again, what we've learned is if it's in proper form, like in the proper order, this last number, the constant, is going to be the y-intercept. And if this is a positive number, the line should be sloping upwards. Okay. All right, let's try the next graph. It's still got a -14, but draw the graph of -2.14, label both intercepts. Okay, I'm going to do this proper because I changed my windows and everything. I'm going to go second plus sign number 7, number 1, number 2. Okay, so I'm going to go to my y equals screen again. Negative, remember the negative button is underneath the 3. -2.5x minus 14. Press graph again. Same thing happens, right? I'm going to do the same thing. Adjust window settings. You can see it looks like it's the same y-intercept, right? So I'm going to say change exactly what I did here, y min to -20. Okay, now when I press graph, I can see again. So I'm going to record my line just as I see it. All right, so now y-intercept, I'm going to use the same steps as I did here. I'm not going to write them down because they're right here. Second trace value, x equals 0. -14 again, okay. Again, I don't have to worry about drawing a lot of ticks because I'm only putting one number on each scale. So that's -14. Let's do our x-intercept. Okay, I'm going to do this really slowly so you can go back over and over if you need to. Okay. Second calc. Oh, my goodness. Sorry. From the top, finding my x-intercept. Putting my y equal y2 equals 0. second calc number 5. Okay, so I want to move, remember I forgot to move my cursor. I want the x-intercept. So I'm going to move my x-intercept all the way up to where I want it. I don't need the cursor down here. I already found the y-intercept, right? Okay, so it's up where I want it. Is this your first curve? Yep. Is this your second, your y2 statement? Yep. Take a guess. Yes. Okay, when y is 0, x is negative 5.6. Okay, so this will be negative 5.6. You can see they're very similar in so many cases, right? This one and this one. It's just like this line was flipped over. Okay, so those are my intercepts. I labeled them. Right, and that's it. I feel like I'd like to do one more, X and Y intercept for you. Okay, so I'm gonna make one up, not in the package, and then I'll open up a Google Meet for the last little while. So I'm gonna get you to work on assignment 5 for the rest of today's class and tomorrow's. Or you know what, maybe I'll just do, I'll do the first question on number 5. May as well make it worthwhile, right, for you? So let's check this first question. Let's do the first one together, and then I'm going to open up a Google Meet, and you can hop on and ask me questions. Okay, sketch the graph of each, label all intercepts. Okay. So I'm just going to do a quick grid for myself, like just at crosshairs, Cartesian plane, just like this. They're only asking me to do intercepts. I don't need to do any elaborate scale. I just have to identify this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis. Okay, so I'm going to clear my calculator out. And now into my y equals screen, I'm going to enter in 3.41x plus 1.22. Okay. Now I cleared my calculator, so I'm back to just the regular window setting. So let's see if that's good enough. And I guess it is. I can barely see these two, but it's going to cross here and here. It almost looks like it's crossing at the center, but let's see. Second calc value, put a 0 in, and I get 1.22. So that's where my y-intercept is. Right here, really teeny tiny amount of distance from the origin, okay? So positive 1.22. Now let's find the x-intercept. It's right around here as well. I go to my y equals screen. I put a 0 in. Then I'm going to go second calc number 5. Now it's kind of hard to see that. I'm just going to move the cursor a little closer to the x-axis. So enter, enter, enter. So there it is, negative 0.35777. I guess that rounds to negative 0.36. So I'm just going to put it here, negative 0.36. You can see why, like if I was just going to draw this freehand or get you to identify this from a picture, it'd be really hard to see how close these intercepts are to the origin. Okay. So that's kind of what it would look like, and that's it. So that's what I would like you to do for the rest of assignment 5. Like I said, I'm going to stop live streaming now because I don't see any questions coming through live chat, but I'll open up a Google Meet, and you have all you have to do is go to the blog and enter there. If you don't have the blog up, maybe what I'll do is I'll jot down the Google Meet, or maybe I won't. I'm not going to do that. Just go to the blog. I think it would be safer to do that. So I'm going to end live streaming, go to the blog and click on the Google Meet.